What's going on, y'all? See, look, y'all know I love y'all. Y'all can't ever say, Ashley, you don't appreciate us. You don't do this. You don't do that. Because, bitch, I'm here the day after the show comes on. Mind you, I just came back from the dentist, okay? Let me tell y'all something. Pause. Make sure y'all keep up with y'all shit, okay? You're supposed to go to the dentist at least twice a year. Make sure everything is all good. Make sure your dentist and your insurance. Bitch, I went to the goddamn dentist in forever, okay? And look, all of this shit. That's what I have to get done to my mouth, all right? And it's not even the most invasive stuff. The dentist gonna tell me, bitch, you need to floss more. I said, girl, don't try me. And she was like, your gums and your teeth are actually nice. Bitch, you just need to floss more. I said, bitch, okay. You know, how many times she gonna tell me that? I got a few cavities I need to get filled and shit, but I'm trying to live this better life, alright? Gotta get a wisdom tooth extracted, bitch. I've been trying to put that off forever and a day, okay? But anyway, moving on from that, what I really came out here for is the new show Shots Fired that comes on, bitch, is it FX right before not FX, Fox right before Empire now. It premiered yesterday, which was Wednesday. Since I have such a buttload of shit to do on Wednesday, meaning videos and stuff, and I really, 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 really like Shots Fired. And it's giving me like American crime type of tease because it's talking about something that's really real and that's been going on in current events and stuff like that. And therefore, I am going to review it the day after. So instead of getting it on Wednesday night, you will get it Thursday, and I'll try to put it up in a timely fashion so that you won't have to wait till the night or whatever. It'll probably be up around this time, you know. I literally just came back in the house, so it's fresh on my mind, so I got to go ahead and get it out. Um, this whole episode, Shots Fired, starring Sanaa Lathan, Mac Wiles. Baby, I don't know who the attorney, but he gonna be in my harem of chocolate booze. Okay, y'all already know. Okay, we got Kofi, we got Trevante, and now we got you, boo boo. Okay, I said, look at him. Oh, educated looking and shit. Come on, boarding school tease. All right. But basically, Shots Fired, I think it takes place in North Carolina. Um, it's about when we first see it comes on, Mac Wiles, his character, his name is Officer Bex, okay? He's a rookie. He literally just came out the academy. I think he's only been on the job for like a year or so. And, he has a wife, he has a son. And I think he's the only black police officer on this force down in this small city of North Carolina. And so he was in this particular neighborhood where it's populated heavily, black folks, inner city, poor people, and I guess it's a known drug area. And all of a sudden we hear shots fired, and then we hear him, calling in for backup or whatever, saying that shots was fired or whatever. And then next thing you know, we see this white teenager laying down on the floor, dead. Okay, you see the people of the housing area coming out, trying to see what's going on, taking pictures, recording, and all this stuff. And when the rest of the cavalry shows up, the white police officers, literally, they show up. They like, you move back, you move back, you do this, you do that. And at one point, they said something to one of the black boys, and he just was like, he just automatically put his hands up, and everybody around him put their hands up, and the cop was just looking. He kind of was taken aback by it. So this is what the show is based upon, trying to figure out whether or not Officer Bex, a black cop, shot this boy on purpose for no reason, getting justice for this boy, and they bringing in the black lawyer guy. He works with he's a lawyer for civil rights, civil injustice and stuff like that. And he's an intern. This is like his first year out of law school too. But the baby is smart. Okay, he is well poised, put together, articulate, smart as hell, and fine. I said, all right, but I'm telling y'all, I'll be having my moments. And y'all be like, bitch, are you really? Yes, I am. But I can appreciate a fine specimen when I see one. But, you know, he's fresh out of law school or whatever, trying to figure out how they're gonna play this. And I guess in their minds, in order to convict somebody that's black, a black officer, and doing this and being perceived in, I guess, the African American viewpoint, you have to have somebody that's black to take over. So that's why they called him down. His name is Preston Terry. We get Sanaa Lathan's character. Her name is Ash, and Ash Aniko. Kaniko or Nico? Ash and Nico, okay? AA. And we first see her, she's playing with her daughter and all this stuff, and they playing cards. The next thing you know, this little Latina girl comes in and was like, "Hey, Kai, you have to go to bed 8:30, we have to get ready." She was like, "Oh my God, can we just play one more game?" And I was like, "No, you have to go to bed. You know the routine." So now I was like, "Girl, we gonna do this game." She was like, "No, I'm the one that had to get her up in the morning and get her in this routine and do this and do that." I said, "Hold up. I'm not appreciating her attitude towards this woman." I'm like, at first, I'm thinking, are they like in a relationship with each other? And she the mean mama and she the good mama? That's what I was thinking at first. But then when she told Kai to go ahead and do what she had to do and get ready for bed, she left out. And we see little Senorita up in the room, in the living room, and then when Sanaa threw that jar or that cup or whatever at her, and she got all upset. She was like, "If you ever scream or raise your voice to my daughter like that, I'll fuck you up." And I'm sitting here like, so who is she? Kind of find out she's the baby daddy who was Sanaa's ex, his new wife. And they're going back and forth with this custody battle, because later on in the episode, we see her being served while she's on the job trying to get information out of some other cops. He serves her with papers trying to get full custody or whatever, because he feels as if she's not a fit parent. I don't know what exactly went on in her background. They haven't said that yet, because she used to be on the police force. Now she's working with the Department of Justice that is just trying to crack down on bad guys, whether they're cops or anybody else, investigating all this stuff. And she's like a lone wolf at this point. And I don't know, that's the mystery about what actually went on in her background that made her switch professions a little bit just to the left. And we see the husband or the ex saying, "Did you go to the meeting? Did you get help? Have you gotten help yet? You keep putting it off saying that you're going to do this and do that," And so that's what that's about. I said, "Oh Lord, you doing all this off the handle stuff." At first when she got served those papers, she asked Preston Terry, from a lawyer point of view, how do you how would it favor for custody? If a father is filing for full custody or whatever, what would the odds be that they would give him that? And it was like they have to prove that the mother's unfit, unattainable, all over, and basically all the stuff that he described was describing her. So she's just looking like, damn, I'm fucked up. Okay, but back to this case. So when they first meet, it was a little tension because, it's a pissing match at this point. Let's see who got the best power. I got more power over you than you have over me. Preston had to make sure that Ash, knew that he was her boss and what he said go and all that stuff. And, they go down to North Carolina. They meet up with the governor, played by Helen Hunt. Baby Helen Hunt and her jowls. I said, God damn. They drooping. I said, this is not the lady from Twister. Okay, this is not the lady from Twister. What's going on? I said, age is showing in your jaws. Okay, they just hanging and shit. But it's good to see her back on my TV screen. And she's the governor trying to get all this stuff together. And her whole thing is she don't want, like she said, a bunch of rednecks, getting out of hand with this whole thing. And we are living in a climate where you have people like a lot of black men getting unjustly killed for no reason. Okay. And so now in reverse, we have a white boy getting killed by a black officer instead of a black child getting killed by a white officer. So when they give this little press conference, and before we saw this lady, she's the head of this pastor. She's we just gonna call her pastor. She's the head of this church. She was talking to Bex, trying to get him to come down to the church, whatever, trying to get him to say his side and all that stuff. He wasn't feeling her, okay? He thought she was up to no good or whatever. But she was actually there at the the courthouse when they was having this press conference about it. The governor gave her speech on it, and then she was like, "Well, what about the other men and sons or whatever who actually were killed and were unarmed, and nothing has been done about it?" Okay. Terry got up there, Preston got up there and gave this speech like, I'm the type of person that I understand. I am a black man, and I see all the injustices that's going on with the Eric Rice, the Tamir Rice, the Eric Garners, and the Mike Browns and the Trayvon Martins and all that stuff, and that hurts my heart. But I cannot. This case is already been turned around into race. What we need to see is to get justice for all involved. He basically put it out there saying, "Oh no, I'm not gonna forget about the people that these black men that have been unfairly treated, but also we have to look at the facts of what's also what's happening now. We do have someone who was unarmed, who was shot and killed, and we have to figure out and get justice for him just as well. We can't put a color on this right about now because this teen life is gone." But see, this is where stuff comes into play because, he's trying to get information about who saw the shooting or whatever. You go to the hood, no one want to talk. The little boy, he comes up there, he trying to bond with him because he had on his brother's jersey. His brother plays football. He could have played baseball, but he chose a different path, and he was trying to butter him up to get some information out of him. Never could happen. Okay, he goes back in his street clothes trying to do the same thing. The boy give him his tip. Go to the houses, see Miss Campbell, 308. That's her apartment, 308. Child, why you go out there at night by yourself? He get his ass jumped. So him and Sanaa go back out there the next day, and they talk to this lady. Come to find out, her son Joey Campbell, he got killed a couple of weeks before. She said, "The cops came to my door and said your son is dead." "No, ma'am, I'm sorry for your loss or anything like that." And all they did was came in and said your son is dead, went in his room, searching all the stuff, found a little bit of marijuana, tried to say that because that marijuana was in her house, they can bring her up on some charges too, and her other son could be taken away. So she needs to just keep her mouth shut on this investigation. But there is no investigation. No one has yet to come back and tell her anything that was going on with the case because there is no case. And at that moment in time, we realized that this whole police force and everything is corrupt. When we first see the police station, what they made it clear is the majority of the people that are there that we all saw, black men. That's all we saw in that police station. Okay, white officers, black men. Okay, and it was just something. They was trying to talk to Bex. He didn't want to really talk, you know. And then Ash, she started, saying, "Yeah, I was in your position once before too. When I was a rookie, my training officer, he was out there. We was on the job, and I was supposed to be trying to reprimand this one boy, and we was going all by the books and everything. And next thing you know, he moved his hand in the back, and I'm telling him, to stop. And my TO, he gets, this look of shock and fear on his face, and he screams out gun. And so because he screams out that he had a gun or was reaching for a gun, I shot him in the chest. I killed this boy. Nothing happened to me because I was literally scared for my life, and they proved that. I said, ain't that the skills that they always use? That is what they use. Come to find out the boy had a cell phone. Now she's getting somewhere with him, but here comes Preston trying to come in, and he just kind of asked some questions that just made him shut down and say, "I'm not saying nothing else without my lawyer," because he was recounting his story about what happened. He said, "Oh, this is what happened." So when they finally get Bex to open up a little bit after that story that she said, he was like, he pulled up, he seen the boy Jesse, that's his name, the victim. Seen him in the neighborhood, and a white boy in a neighborhood like this automatically means that he has to be trying to buy drugs because this is a heavily drug area. There ain't no white people here. That'd be his only reason there. And He was acting erratic and everything, and I was telling him, you need to, put your hands up and all this stuff. And next thing you know, he started struggling with me, and he was reaching for my gun, and so I shot him. It was a clean shoot, and old boy was like, "You shot him 4 times." He was like, he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop. So therefore, I had to shoot him multiple times. And then this is where shit goes left because Preston hit him with the so could you say racial profiling was being a part of this? Okay, it was being at play, and he was like, "What are you talking about? I mean, you said that you seen this white boy coming into this black neighborhood, and he automatically had to be buying drugs." I said, "Damn, okay." I said, "How you flip that racial profiling shit onto that?" I said, "That dude, I mean, he did kind of stereotype him, so I get where he was coming from." And I guess, oh boy, shut up and said, "You know what? I just want to, when my union rep, my lawyer rep comes, then I can speak some more, okay?" And they just trying to figure shit out with that. So now I do go and take the members of the force, the some of them, they go to a bar. She buys some drinks. She's trying to get them drunk or whatever to get some information out of them, make them comfortable. Say, "Hey, I'm one of you, so you can let me know what's going on," because they're cool with Bex, okay, and they're all team Bex. They all team cop right now, and they was asking questions, and it was like, "Have you ever went down to the houses?" And he was like, "We never made no tour down there or whatever." And he was like, "What are you talking about, a tour?" It was like tour duty, like when you in the army, the navy, whatever, military tour duty. And it's so dangerous in the way that they was making it sound like even if they passed by, they probably would have shot anybody up in there without asking questions because they're fearful of their life and it's so dangerous. I'm sitting here like, oh, I call all of this shit. I'm just listening to the whole conversation like, okay. So later on, we have the pastor. She's having this little this meeting, and the community is there, and she's asking for everybody to come together and to offer love and support. And at first, when it first started off, girl, I thought she was about to start talking about the Jesse boy. Child, she started talking about Joey Campbell. I said, I knew she was finna do that. Y'all know the pastor play Harriet Tubman on Underground, right? I said, come on through, bitch, throw that shit up in there. Oh no, we not finna forget about him. But we gonna try to solve both their murders, because not only did she bring up his mother, she brought up Jesse's mother. Now earlier they went and talked to Jesse's mother, and told her that they said that they found marijuana on him. They found that he was trying to get the cop's gun. Of course, the mother is like, he wouldn't do that. My son don't do this and don't do that. And she just wants justice, and it's just, I'm not gonna say it's ironic to see this. It's crazy to see this, because the way that the mother was acting for Jesse is the way that a lot of black women have been acting for their sons, their husbands, their brothers, their cousins, their family, their friend who've been unjustly shot and killed with no answer, with no justice, with no regard, to the life that's happened, that's been going on. I'm liking what they are doing in this show. But at the end of the day, so now they wind up, we get a little background on Preston, and I don't know, like, pause. Before we go there, go back to the church when the mothers came together. At first you saw Joey Mama. Joey Mama was looking like the fuck at first. But then when they went over there and they hugged each other, they was crying. And I still feel like Joey Mama, Miss Campbell, was just sitting there like, this don't make no goddamn sense. That's what her eyes was telling me. Because even though they want to put it out there about how this boy got killed and nobody is saying anything about it, but because this white boy get killed, everybody want to say something about it. Everybody want to do something about it. It's want to be some action so we can suppress stuff, so our town won't look bad, so we can do this and do that. It's kind of fucked up, because that's how it is. That's how it is. Unfortunately, sometimes in these situations, the skin color does matter, okay? And meaning that if you're white or lighter skin, it's gonna be take precedent over a nigga who got shot. If that's what you want to call it, a black person who got shot and killed or whatever. And That's what they're showing, okay? Because we didn't even hear the cops talking about Joey them. We still hear them trying to figure out this shit about Jesse, and it's very, very unfortunate. We see Preston interacting with his brother. They were brought up differently. Preston was brought up, I guess, to be in the best of schools somehow, I guess, on scholarships, making friends with people whose parents were billionaires and, summer housing at their places and going to different, he got a world view of life, okay? His brother, on the other hand, just stayed in the hood and then just so happened to got into football. That scene with her and him and Sanaa fucked. I said, child. He was like, he didn't mean it. She said, it didn't mean nothing to me either. What you talking? But then all of a sudden, here comes this bombshell. They bring out a video that is somehow leaked and released of Officer Bex just graduating, getting his badge, and saying, now I can go out and kill these crackers, shoot these crackers, you know. And of course, you have the captain of the police force coming out there talking to him. He don't give a shit. He don't give a shit at this point. Ooh, my teeth. Okay. Baby, they scrubbed the shit out of my teeth. But anyway, he don't care, He's still gonna have it back. And I don't even feel like it's because he's not trying to appear that he's not racist. It's because he's a cop. So regardless, if it look bad on one of us, it's gonna look bad on all of us, regardless of what color. So we gonna have to. It's that code of blue, that color blue that they're supporting. Not the fact that they could be all racist as hell and we don't really know. It's just that he's an officer, so of course they're gonna have his back. That's what it feel like. But the boy that was talking to Preston at the beginning, them 2 times, next thing we see at the end of the episode, him being chased down by this car, okay, on his bike, and he gets away. I hope they do not kill him, because they how they say in the hood, snitches get stitches. I want to know what it is that he did, because why do you care that it's such a conflict, because it's like, should you support this black man because he got to be innocent, because that white boy had to have done something to make him shoot him, or do you support the fact that this is a cop who unjustly shot an innocent person who was unarmed? That's the dilemma right now. Like, child, shots fired is gonna have me thinking. Shots fired is gonna have me pissed. I'm gonna be sitting here just like I've been sitting here when everything else was going on in the world, when this stuff was happening in real time. I'm gonna be just pissed off, and y'all gonna get it each time, okay? If you saw shots fired, let me know how you felt about it. I love it so far, and this is only the first episode. And yeah, let's discuss. Peace.